Hi, good evening, school board members. Did my parents ask me to give my opinion? Yes. Do I like all these extra random days off? Of course I do. Show me a kid who wouldn't like school-free days. But I also want to do well at school. It's hard to concentrate on my work with so many incomplete weeks. These extra holidays are not doing any good for my routine. Projects and test results never turn out great when you work on them over a long period of time with lots of breaks. I will start forgetting about what I've already learned before my test because of the random days off, and I do not want that. I would rather study and work hard and be done with my school year earlier than normal. Also, even if there is no school, afternoon sports are still happening at school, so I can't really do anything else with my friends or family on those days. I would also want a longer summer. If school starts earlier, my summer break is even shorter because next year I'll be in high school and I start sports 3 weeks before actual school starts and is already at the end of July. And that leaves me with barely a month of summer break. It's fun and I want to do sports, but it cuts time that could be spent with family, friends, or for travel. Many of my friends think the same way. Please listen to our views. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is student number 2. Student number 2. Student number 3. Our next speaker is Michael Luley.
Good evening. Thank you for having us and all you do for the performing arts. We're very appreciative of that. None of us got in this business to get rich, so talking about money is kind of difficult, but when Loudoun County is starting to poach our talent and our other teachers, it's time to kind of talk about that, to do what we can do to support the people we have here and keep them here. During the height of the pandemic, people used to talk about how teachers deserve $1 million. Now, that's not the case. Now they have a lot of other opinions about what we're not doing and capable of. I took some time to do my hours for marching band and concert band after school of 3:15. My marching band hours are 127 hours. My concert band hours are 363. That's nearly 500 hours of after-school time that I give to my students. I had posters, but I was looking dangerous, so I wasn't allowed to bring them in. If you take the high school choir stipend of $2,400 minus the high school band stipend of $4,600, it's about $2,200, making the high school stipend $2,200 and the concert band $2,400. If you do the math for the hours I've put in each, you'll have some digital forms for that as well. It's about $17 an hour for marching band, $6 an hour and 60 cents for concert band. At a marching band game, that would be $17.70 an hour versus what the athletics office is allocating $90 an hour of extra overtime to our school resource officers, which is needed, but a stark contrast. Concert band wise, we had all district band auditions a couple weeks ago. I was there for 10 hours doing auditions. That would be basically $6.06 or 60 cents an hour for that, to be about $66. If I was a school resource officer working on that, I would get $900. The proposed budget that the Fine Arts Office is presenting is about $1,200 for that $500, or 500 hours would be about 24 hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sandra Martin.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Sandra Martin. I'm a parent, and for 14 years I've driven a bus for Fairfax County Public Schools. You're hearing some transportation employees saying that we were not represented and were kept in the dark about the collective bargaining committee's workings over the last year. As a long-serving BDAC team representative and officer, I can tell you that this summer that this is untrue and is being used by a few to split transportation's voice from the proposed operational support unit. We were given updates at BDAC for reps to disseminate. Regular postings were made on the Fairfax County Public School website of the collective bargaining meeting minutes and FAQs. Our elected OTS representative on the Support Service Advisory Council, SSEAC, updated BDAC regularly and sent multiple advisory notes to all transportation employees, which included the links to the public and employee-only collective bargaining FAQ, the summary page, and the employee-only meeting notes. All are posted on the employee hub. An English as a second language coworker said, "Miss Sandra, this is not good for us. Little fish get eaten." How profound. Creating a mini unit for just transportation will leave us with an insignificant voice when negotiating with leadership. And this moves us into the draft calendars. Again, included 1 month of lost wages for support professionals. 25-26 draft has up to 34 unpaid days. Thousands of hourly transportation and food service professionals have their paychecks reduced every time a school day is changed to a non-paid holiday or a teacher workday. We're the ones that can least afford a loss of income. We ask you to make any additional non-school days a paid day, or if allowed in other systems where the non-school days are paid, all of them. Finally, last year we were told by leadership would present a scale compression study on all pay scales before the budget was presented to you. If the study was done, it would show bus drivers' median is a step 4. Well,
Thank you. Our next speaker is Aliko Padastar.
Good evening. We shared our concerns with you and superintendent since November. We looked at the board documents and are even more worried as you will lock us in for 3 next years. Your proposal have over 40% of incomplete weeks. If we add the weeks with O days, it would be 50%. Half of the school time. The purple calendar includes 40 school days off in 2025. This is 2 months of no school on top of summer vacation. The proposals try to accommodate many interest groups, except kids in the future. It feels like you're trying to fit 30 hours into a day of 24. It's impossible to give everybody everything. Kids should be our first priority. Half of your kids have graduated Fairfax County Public Schools. They got a high quality education. You wrote in your profile write-ups that your priority is education, ensuring the success and kids, offering them opportunities, and yet your calendar proposal does exactly the opposite. You are taking these opportunities away. We understand it's important to respect diversity, but it can be achieved better than giving kids random days off. Our proposal is inclusive and non-disruptive. Following federal holidays, replace religious holidays with 4 or 5 days off that can be taken at the discretion of the families and used as they need it. Why don't you show that you can think outside of the box, be innovative, respectful, and accountable? It's your hands to prove that you have heart and care about kids.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Austin Isaac.
Good evening. My name is Austin Isaac. I teach high school orchestra at Lake Braddock, and I will echo some similar sentiments that my colleague Mike Lilly just shared with you. I will also share some new information. Performing arts teachers are passionate about teaching our content, our love of the arts, and we work hard to share these things with our students. In order to cultivate these ideals, an inherent part of our job is to help students perform for an audience, which is typically outside of classroom hours. Students experience a multitude of performance opportunities that directly link a portrait of a graduate's skills. These skills are primarily attained in the arts through practice and doing. The after-contract hours commitments quickly add up, but the compensation in the school district does not, and yet this is an expected part of our job. Whenever there is an opening for a secondary orchestra position, the Fine Arts Office sends an email to all FCPS orchestra teachers with the job advertisement. Here is part of the description that is used in each of these emails, and I quote, "The orchestra director leads the orchestra's participation in school activities such as concerts, festivals, and competitions, as well as school events such as graduation and the music department spring trip." End quote. I gave my high school orchestra colleagues a very brief survey about their after-contract hour workload, and here are their answers. Question number 1, how many non-contract hours during the school year do you spend rehearsing for and carrying out concerts, trips, graduation, and any other performances? The average answer was 95 hours. The second question, how many non-contract hours during the school year do you spend working on recruitment in your pyramid? The average answer was 19 hours. The third question, how many non-contract hours during the school year do you spend working with your booster organization? And the answer was an average of 23 hours. It is long past due that extracurricular stipends more accurately reflect the non-contract hours that performing arts teachers put in so their students have an optimal experience. The performing arts stipend proposal was given forth by the Fine Arts Office. It is a total of just over $3 million with FICA and with a $3 billion budget. It would be great to incorporate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ryan Walker.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Walker, and I'm a parent of 2 children in the Lake Braddock Pyramid. I'm here this evening to ring an alarm bell on the growing safety and security concern, not just at Lake Braddock, but across the entire district. There's been a student stabbing at Mount Vernon High School, frequent fights in schools, reported drug use in bathrooms, and an overall disregard for rules and regulations. There's an epidemic, and you have an opportunity to take proactive steps to protect our children. Because if the 4 fentanyl deaths in FCPS in the past 2 weeks isn't enough of a wake-up call, I don't know what is. This isn't just one man's opinion. Last week, during a community forum, I noticed in the provided survey results that nearly 40% of middle school students do not feel physically safe in school. This is unacceptable. The same attention that is given to accommodating students who identify differently, changing names on schools, and reducing FCPS carbon footprint should be given to allow students to feel physically safe in their learning environment. With a budget over $3.5 billion, $200 million in federal emergency COVID funding, simple steps can be taken to ensure the physical safety and security of our children. Additional SROs in every school. Frequent unannounced screens from police canine units to search for drugs. Ban the carrying of backpacks around schools. Without proper screening methods, school systems are blind to what's being brought into schools on a daily basis. Install metal detectors. Enforce rules and provide punishments that mean something. Stop worrying about litigation and bad press. Just do the right things for the right reason. Don't delay any further. Don't study this issue ad nauseum or conduct a series of dilatory discussions about funding. You were elected to take action, to represent your constituencies, to find the money to keep our children safe. Please do so.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shelley Arnoldi.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Arnoldi. I'm the chapter chair for Moms for Liberty for Fairfax County. Moms for Liberty is dedicated to the survival of America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents to defend their parental rights at all levels of government. Prior to moving here in 2010, I spent half of my 20-year career living overseas. My ex-husband and the father of my 2 daughters is an immigrant and a non-native English speaker. My daughter's best friend from kindergarten to 7th grade had 2 mothers who are very good friends, and my daughters have 2 friends who are transgender in their friend circle, so I am not sheltered or insensitive to the other ways of living. I've recently met the mother whose daughter was victimized by sex trafficking predators, aided by the failing system that places transgender ideology ahead of parental rights. SAGE's law, also known as the Child Protection Act, aims to protect the rights of parents and the safety of children who are dealing with gender confusion. This board has allowed policies to be adopted that violate this law and endanger our children, and it needs to change. As you continue to ignore the Virginia Department of Education 2022 model policies on the privacy, dignity, and respect for all students and parents in Virginia public schools, you confirm that you don't care about the parents or citizens that elected you. For this reason, I've dedicated my time and energy to find 12 new school board candidates to replace you. We seek candidates who will pledge to advance policies that strengthen parental involvement and decision-making to increase transparency, defend against government overreach, and secure parental rights at all levels of government. The requirements are simple. We're seeking candidates who will honor the fundamental rights of parents, including but not limiting to the right to direct the education, medical care, and moral upbringing of their children. Please use your last months in office to focus on academics and teaching the basics, reading, writing, and math, and stop pushing unwanted ideology on our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dennis Allerton.
Hi, my name is Dennis Allerton, and I'm a bus driver with Fairfax County Public Schools. I sent you guys all an email that kind of dispels some of the myths that all employees are best represented in a single big group, and I hope you will read that thoroughly and understand it. Some of us have met with you recently, some of you. And I want to thank you for your attention and for your time in doing that. Those that have not met with us yet, I do hope that you're still listening to us and you're still hearing us. Collective bargaining is not an issue that is contained in one district. It is countywide, and it affects all of Fairfax County Public Schools. We are not an association. We are not an acronym. We are the bus drivers, van drivers, and attendants of FCPS, and I hope that you're hearing us. Some groups feel that we're incapable of speaking up for ourselves and making our own decisions, and I can assure you that that is not the case. Recently, I received and completed a survey asking how we as bus drivers would like to be represented. I implore you to listen to those voices. There are people in places who go to great lengths to see that you do not hear our voices, and that speaks volumes to me, as it should to you. We have no further agenda. We are the bus drivers that are asking for representation. If our wishes are not represented in this initial process, this resolution, then I fear the likelihood of receiving meaningful and effective representation in the future will also remain unattainable.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Cassandra Akui. Cindy Walsh.
Hello, I'm speaking to the school board today to ask to support parents. Parents are the experts in their child. Parents who, with great care, chose their child's name. Parents have certain rights, such as the right to be notified when outside experts speak to their children, which is HB 1803, and it uses the language that parents have the right to opt out. The reality is parents should have the right to opt in. Parents have the right in the care and upbringing of their children. This includes the right to review curriculum surveys or instructional material. This is HB 1507, and SAGE's law, which is the right to notify parents about gender dysphoria. A child is taught 100 different acronyms to identify genders that, if your mother does not recognize these terms, she is transphobic. In fact, there are so many terms, the people who are LGBTQ don't know what they are. You should educate them, and do not use TikTok to do so. Parents do not use TikTok. Parents are not a hate group, and parents' rights are human rights. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Melissa Wyke.
"5 a.m. I clocked in this morning, 135 miles per day. It's hard, but I'll wake up at 3:45 tomorrow and do it all again. Partially because I love this job, but also because I can't call out and leave my route with extreme special needs open. We are tired. All staff are tired, but we're the ones with signs in the front lawn of every FCPS building pleading for people to apply, to overcome the 160 driver deficit we start with each day. $23.83 per hour reads the yellow sign, $26,880 per year. To work and live in Fairfax County, I know that you know it's not sustainable. We must do better. The next step for recruitment is a strong union representing a strong transportation unit. 15 job types coming together to finally be heard instead of being lost in a sea of 430 other jobs. Somewhere around 2,000 employees, no mini unit. Getting the recognition we deserve, getting a strong contract to once again attract drivers from all around. Employees in a unit considered by them to be appropriate may initiate a request for bargaining. Virginia Code Section 40.1-57.2.c. I want you to know that's what the majority of employees have asked for. Our voices were already drowned out once in a large group making decisions on the behalf of others, and these supposed communications cannot be found. Please don't let that happen again. In regards to tonight's calendar decision, I stand behind any calendar. I want equity for all. I want instructional staff to have the planning time and work days they need. I want students to have productive 5-day weeks. But remember that each calendar adds unpaid days. Take the time to listen and look ahead to what the changes mean for the future of transportation and your workforce. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dave Hatcher. Our next speaker is Amanda Campbell.
Good evening. I'm speaking tonight as president of Fairfax County SEPTA. We've appreciated this board's collaboration in recognizing and moving to address the longstanding problem of disproportionate discipline in our schools. Our membership has consistently been opposed to measures that will increase the impact of disproportionate discipline on our students with disabilities. And so tonight we ask for your collaboration again, this time in opposing House Bill 1461 in Virginia's General Assembly. This bill would mandate uniform responses for all students and staff, and that would not address individual students' needs nor best practice responses. It is well established by multiple studies that students with disabilities, students of color, students living in poverty, and males are all disproportionately subjected to school discipline. In FCPS, students with disabilities and Black students are 3 to 4 times more likely to be disciplined than their peers. HB 1461 will make this situation even worse. The proposed addition of a work group will not solve the numerous inherent problems in this bill. Relatedly, we have significant concerns regarding FCPS's discipline practices in the wake of the prohibition of seclusion. There have been multiple incidents of assaults of students with disabilities by staff since September, which leads us to ask, what supports are lacking in providing staff necessary de-escalation and prevention tools? We appreciate that FCPS has been quick to take action to protect the students once these incidents come to light, but that is not sufficient. We have also received multiple concerns from staff that the Level 1 required training on Ross Greene's collaborative and proactive solutions is inadequate due to a lack of accountability for being fully invested in the training. Additionally, we are receiving concerning reports regarding inappropriate involvement of SROs in school discipline at an alarmingly increased rate. These are all concerns SEPTA raised at the beginning of our efforts to prohibit seclusion in 2020, and we are frustrated to see them playing out as feared. Our children do not have the luxury of time. This crisis must be addressed now, and we are here to continue to collaborate with you to ensure that the voices of students, families, and staff are included in this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Max Selig.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Reed, leadership. My name is Max Selig. I am a bus driver. I've been such in this business for going on 6 years now. I am a member of BDAC, Bus Drivers and Attendants Advisory Council, as a team rep. I'm also the transportation representative for the Support Services Employees Advisory Council. And as an arm of that, I'm also the transportation rep for the Support Employees Association. Realize I'm going to ruffle some feathers here. It's a messy business. Politics, setting policy, employee relations. It's not easy. And I'm on board with all of you and everyone in here. This is tough stuff. I'm a supporter of the planned 3-unit collective bargaining plan. It's a plan that will bring equity to an unbalanced system. It's built around a coalition of all operations employees. And I refuse to not stand with all operations employees and personnel. The cafeteria workers, the janitors, the electricians, the plumbers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are these notions out there that the 3-unit plan was concocted in secret. But we all know there were updates online on FCPS sites all along. This notion that there was not extensive study and extraordinary time commitment by many, many people. And the notion that we're actually against the Teamsters. We're not. We just don't want the Teamsters representing just transportation. It's all for one and one for all.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Aaron St. Germain.
Good evening. I came here tonight with a speech prepared, but I decided last minute to read you something that was read at my local high school, the high school I went to, the high school my kids will go to, something that was read by a 10th grade English teacher, and it was read to the minor students. So I just wanted everyone to listen and to really think about what it takes, what's going on in someone's head when they read this to children. It was a woman. The poem is titled Fingers. In bed at night, my fingers search, a heat I have no name for, sliding into a center, finding a hidden core, a stem, or maybe the root. I'm learning how to caress and breathe at the same time, how to be silent and feel something grow inside me. And when it all builds up, I sink into my mattress. I feel such a relief, such a relief. I feel such a shame settle like a blanket, covering me head to toe. As an adult woman, I cannot imagine reading. I mean, actually, I just did, but in front of children. I mean, 15-year-olds, 10th graders. A grown woman got up there and made the decision to read this poem to children. Thank you.
We also have one video testimony this evening submitted by Robert Rigby.
Good evening. I speak for FCPS Pride tonight. We are an organization whose membership is 80% feminists and 70% educators, standing up for LGBTQ people in our Fairfax schools. We all must keep the people in our schools safe, respected, welcomed, and included. Then we must take intense action to hold Richmond accountable for trying to drive some people in the Commonwealth into hiding. Local school boards must shore up decency against the flood of animosity from Richmond. There is a broader tactic of trying to dismantle public schools by weaponizing anti-Black, anti-LGBTQ, ableist, anti-Asian, anti-Hispanic, and anti-immigrant sentiment. I again raise the alarm about the safety of LGBTQIA students, staff, and families here in Virginia, even in Fairfax. The Forced Outing Bill 2432 has passed the Virginia House of Delegates. This passage's effect is to push leader schools and families into rejecting LGBTQ children. A commitment from the school system and supervisors to keep us all safe, welcome, and respected in our schools and county would be a good start. Efforts to persuade senators and the governor to hold the line against this attempt to drive trans children and their families into hiding would be a good follow-up. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. I will call on Dr. Reed for a strategic plan update.